Good morning. We're happy to see you today on a nice, chilly, snowy day. If you would rise as we begin worshiping here today. Sing, I could just sit. I could just sit. I could just sit and wait for all your goodness. Hope to feel your presence. And I could just stay, oh, I could just stay right where I am and hope you feel you. Hope to feel something again. I could hold on to who I am and never let you change me from the inside. I could be safe, oh, I could be safe here in your arms and never leave, oh, never let these walls down. But you have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you lead me, Lord. You have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you lead me, Lord. You lead me. I could hold on to who I am and never let you change me from the inside. I could be safe, oh, I could be safe here in your arms and never leave, oh, never let these walls down. But you have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you lead me, Lord. You have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you lead me, Lord. You lead me. I will be yours, oh, I will be yours for all my life. I will be yours, oh, I will be yours for all my life. I will be yours, oh, I will be yours for all my life. So let your mercy, oh, I will be yours, Lord, I will be yours for all my life. So let your mercy light the path before me. 'Cause you have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you lead me, Lord. 'Cause you have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you lead me, Lord. 'Cause you have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you lead me, Lord. 'Cause you have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you lead me, Lord. Where you lead me. You lead me, Lord. Where you lead me. You lead me, Lord. You can take a seat.
Good morning. Oh, we're going to try that again. Good morning. That's much better. It is so good to be with you on this this is beautiful snow. Yes? You came out through the snow. It wasn't deep snow, but you came out regardless. It is so good to be with you on this beautiful snowy morning. My name is Jeremy. I'm the pastor of the Grove Cottage Grove, and we are a church that exists to grow goodness. So my hope is that you're being with us in the room today, you're watching with us online, you're somehow interacting with us out in the community throughout the week, somehow nurturing healing, wholeness, and beauty in your life. As you came in this morning, hopefully you received one of these. I direct your attention to that one so you can begin looking at it. If you need to now, we'll talk more about this in a few minutes. But if not, now's your opportunity to go grab one. The other thing up front before we do anything else in the service is we want to make sure we address the kids in the room. Kids are not only welcome as a part of this church, but they're celebrated members of this community. And we try to make sure that we create the physical and programmatic space for them to feel welcome. So we have, within the worship center, in the back of the pews, or in the back of the chairs, we have coloring sheets for kids or adults to make use of as they're sitting in the seats. We also have this quiet wiggle space on the side of the worship center where if they need to get up and move their bodies, they don't need to feel like they need to just sit in the chairs throughout the service. Kids are welcome in the service throughout. However, we also have programming. We have a staff nursery, which is available for birth through 3 years. And then we have our Grove Kids programming, which is available for ages 4 through 5th grade. Those older kids, 4th through 5th grade, going out to Grove Kids, we will sing them out in just a few minutes, and then they can go out and participate in the age-appropriate, play-based programming. The one thing that we ask is that if this is your first time with us today, or their first time being a part of either one of those programmings, that they fill out a registration card, or that you fill out a registration. There's either cards at the back table, or there's a QR code up here that you can scan and fill that out online, and then that gets emailed to our leaders. Why is that important? One, we want to know their names. Names are important here at the Grove for adults and for kids. And then also if there are any needs that we should be aware of, if there are any special needs, if there are any dietary restrictions, allergies, anything like that, so we can make sure that they are getting the best care available to them. Again, you can scan that QR code and fill it out, or there is an actual physical registration form on the back table. That is it for announcements, at least for now. So at this point, we're going to move into the part of the service which we call Connection Points. Connection Point is your opportunity to interact with and connect with people around you. That's an especially important thing as we build meaningful relationships as a new church. And so in just a few moments, you're going to get the opportunity to stand up and interact with people around you. It's an opportunity. We're also going to force you to do it. You're welcome. One thing that we do, though, to make it a little bit easier, because sometimes those social interactions, especially forced ones, can be a little bit awkward. We give you one discussion question. So if you have no idea what to talk with these other strangers about, you at least have one thing, okay? So today's discussion question is around New Year's resolutions. I'm not a big resolution person, but apparently there's this thing called Quitter's Day. Have you heard of this? January 10th has been labeled as Quitter's Day because apparently by the 10th of January, this is when most people who have set a resolution are already quitting their resolution. So we want to know in your connection point question, what is something that you've profoundly failed at? It could be a resolution or it could be something else. Try to keep it as light and funny as possible. The example that I gave to our team earlier is, I cannot make paper airplanes. I'm a pretty creative person, and like I can look at YouTube videos and do things. I cannot make a paper airplane to save my life. That's something I profoundly failed at. Maybe you have something too. If not, you can talk to people about whatever you want to for those few minutes. So I'll ask you to stand up, find someone near you don't know or don't know very well, introduce yourself, discuss this question or anything else, and then we'll circle back up in a few minutes.
All right, kiddos, you can head out to kids service. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. Every color, shape, and type, they are precious in his sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world.
All right, adults, you can find your seats too. I'm going to turn your attention one more time to the worship handout. We're going to talk more in depth about this now that the kids are out of the room and they don't need all of these boring details. As you open it up, on the left-hand side, it has some of the most important information you're going to want to know about the church, how we got started, what our values are, how to give to continue to make all of this possible. Then on the right-hand side, there is more information about our children's ministry as well. Also on the inside, we have what we call our worship insert. Very fancy name. This is your opportunity to let us know that you're here with us today, whether it's your first time or 100th time, to give us your contact information or update your contact information, or to request information about any individual ministries or things that we have going on here at the church. So there are boxes on the back with a bunch of different ministry opportunities or things that you might be curious about. There's also a spot for prayer requests. If there are things that we can be joining you in praying about, you can fill that out as well. And then you can fill out the whole thing and drop it in the basket on the back table at any time during or after the service. Then on the back, we have our 3 announcements that we are keying in on this month. These are brand new announcements now that Christmas is over. The first one is Pajama Ball. How many of you have been to a Pajama Ball in the past here at the Grove? Pajama Ball is one of our biggest events of the year. It happens traditionally in February, where we transform this space into a dance floor, and we invite kids and adults to come either in their pajamas or dressed up as superheroes or princes or princesses, and then fill this space. We have activities for kids and adults out in that space as well. This event is going to be happening this year on February 21st. We need people who want to volunteer and help with it, however, including the planning of the event itself. So if you are in the position where, like, I love that event, or I've never been to this event before, but this is something that I would like to help out with, you can either scan that QR code and sign up online, or you can fill out on the back of the worship handout or the worship insert, community events, and then we will follow up with you to get you the information you need. February 21st may feel like a long way away. It is not. And so we're going to need all the help that we can get for that. The second announcement is about becoming a partner. Those who are our partners are those who say, the Grove, Cottage Grove, feels like my church home, and I want to make that commitment to the church that the church has already made to me. There's 5 things that we say that we ask of our partners to commit their prayers, presence, gifts, service, and witness. You might have no idea what any of those things mean, and that's completely fine. If you want to learn more about what those things mean, or if you know what those things mean and are ready to make that commitment, again, you can scan that QR code, or you can fill out the worship insert, and on the back there's a spot for becoming a partner. You can check that, and then drop it in the offering basket at any point during the service. Last announcement is about getting involved. One of the best ways to get connected to your church and connected to other people is by using your gifts and passions to contribute to the life of the church. We're always looking for more volunteers and looking for opportunities to get people involved using their gifts and passions. 2 particular things that we're looking for in this season. We'll talk about other things in the weeks coming up. We are constantly looking for more kids ministry volunteers. As we've moved to 2 services, we've needed to double the number of kids ministry volunteers, which is fantastic. It's a fantastic problem to have. But one of the things that it means is that, for instance, at our 11 o'clock service this morning, there will not be nursery because we do not have someone covering the nursery. So if you find the children's ministry valuable and you feel like you have the gifts and passions to be able to help that ministry in some capacity, we would love for you to get plugged in there. The other one, which we are having a growing need for, is around building and grounds. We've got Warren here today. Warren has been a superstar on this campus for 30 years? 30 years, right? Warren cannot do it all. Warren, in general, Warren probably should not have been doing it all, but Warren, as you probably know if you've been around, had a heart issue back at the end of the year. Warren literally cannot do it all, folks. So, fortunately, we have a paid person. His name's Kevin Schoonover. He was here this morning shoveling the sidewalks. Kevin's fantastic. Warren's fantastic. And those two cannot do it all. So if you're a person who likes to help out with building and grounds, whether it's during the winter or during the summer or at any point during the year, we would love to be able to build a team around Warren to be able to support the ministry that is happening here in this building. So if you are in that position, again, you can go to the worship handout and maybe check volunteer opportunities for today, and we will follow up with you and get you the information that you need for that. That is it for announcements from me. However, we have a special announcement today from Lily Flage. Let's welcome Lily. And Lily is going to be talking about our preschool at the Grove. How many of you know that we have a preschool at the Grove? I'm sorry. Turn it over to Lily.
It's all good. It's all good. Like Jeremy said, I'm Lily. I would consider myself a regular attendee here at the Grove. I have been asked to talk about two things. The first being it's January, so we're thinking about next year for fall preschool. Yay! If you are looking for a preschool or interested, the Grove Woodbury has a preschool, and they are having an open house coming up on Thursday, January 23rd from 4:30 to 6. So it's a great opportunity to go in, see the place, ask the teachers questions, check it out. My girls have gone to the Grove, the Peters girls. I think have another couple families maybe who have gone, and we've just had really great experiences. So if you're looking for one, check it out. If you're maybe not able to make that, they also have a Facebook page with a lot of really good info, and also contact information for Kate, who's the director there. That's my first thing. Second thing, I am on the board of the preschool, and coming up really soon, we are having our fundraiser pancake benefit. So that is coming up on Saturday, February 1st from 8 to 10. And it just helps make money for the different needs for the teachers and also like really big things like the playground. We recently finished the bigger kids portion, and now we are looking to fund more like 3 and under type of equipment. So I have tickets. They are $7 a piece. I can take cash or check. If you aren't interested in that, I also have a QR code. And I feel like I'm really close with most of you, so if you wanted to just Venmo me, I can also just front up the total of it as well. So any questions, just want to talk about anything, just reach out to me after church or in another way. I'd be happy to talk about it. Thank you.
Would you stand as we sing a bit more? All this pain, I wonder if I'll ever find my way. I wonder if my life could really change at all. All this earth, could all that is lost ever be found? Could a garden come up from this ground at all? You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of us. All around, hope is springing up from this old ground. Out of chaos, life is being found in you. You make beautiful things. You make You may take a seat.
Today we are wrapping up a 3-week series. We started 3 weeks ago, right after Advent, right after Christmas. We decided, you know what, rather than starting a full, long series coming straight out of Christmas, why don't we fill this awkward in-between time with a little bit of a scattershot type of series, which we've called Favorite Things. There's not a whole lot of organizing principles behind this series other than myself and then Pastor Kelly, who was here last week, choosing some of our favorite passages or favorite stories or favorite ideas from the Bible and talking about those on any given week that we have. So it might be easy to look at this picture even from The Sound of Music and see it's Maria, right? Maria running through the hills and singing and feeling like, well, favorite things must also mean happy things. If you've been around the past 2 weeks and you're here today, that doesn't necessarily mean the same thing. So favorite things, 2 weeks ago, I talked about the Hebrew prophets. Very exciting. The Hebrew prophets and the Hebrew prophets being these people who spoke to the ancient people of Israel and Judah and warning them about all the bad things that are going to happen if they continue to do bad things themselves. Not the most happy type of story and not the most happy type of people. Kelly then came in last week and talked about the book of Philippians and this one passage in particular about finding joy in the midst of struggle. Yeah, maybe there's some happy stuff that's a result of that, but it's not necessarily a happy story or happy concept to begin with. Hi, Charlie. Today, we are going to talk about one of my favorite stories, though, and this one, not so happy either, is about a funeral. Woohoo! I promise you, though, this is one of my favorite stories, and I'm going to land it in a really good spot. So hang with me as I kind of set up the context here. So this story appears in the Gospel according to John, one of the 4 biographies about the life of Jesus. It does not appear in any of the other biographies, just in this one. So Matthew, Mark, and Luke, it's not present in there. It's only in this one biography about the life of Jesus in John. And the story is that Jesus is out doing his thing. He is preaching and teaching and healing people. And then one day he gets word from his friends that his friend Lazarus, a very close friend of his, is deathly ill. And his sisters, who are also friends of Jesus, have sent this word to Jesus in hopes that he can at least show up. You know, Jesus is seen as this compassionate guy, but he's also been teaching and preaching and healing people. And so there also seems to be this hope that if Jesus shows up, maybe he'll be able to do something about it as well. And those of us who are reading, who have heard this story for the last 10 chapters, kind of get this sense that this is what Jesus is all about. Jesus is going to show up and he's going to heal Lazarus before something worse happens. And yet, Jesus does not do that. He actually sits put. He does not rush out the door. And the first thing he does is actually offer up this cryptic sentence. He says, "This sickness will not lead to death, but to God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it." So Jesus, in hearing that one of his best friends is deathly ill, rather than rushing to his side, sits around for 2 days before doing anything. The worst part, I think, is that he knows exactly how this is going to end. He knows what it's going to mean that he does not rush to Lazarus' side, because he then goes on to say this: Lazarus has died, and I am glad for your sake that I was not there, so that you may believe, but let us go to him. So again, he sits around for 2 days. Finally, after 2 days, he gets off his lazy butt, goes to Lazarus, and what happens? The most predictable thing happens. Lazarus has already died. He's been in the tomb for 4 full days. Not great, Jesus, not great. So when he arrives, though, Martha and Mary, these are Lazarus' sisters, and then these others come to Jesus to meet him as he's arriving. And it's clear from the things that they say to him that they're hurt, they're confused even why he hasn't showed up, and they're maybe even a little bit angry about how things have happened. So that's where we pick up the story. The story, again, is from John 11. So verses 32 through 44. It's going to be up here on the screen behind me for you to follow along. Now, when Mary came to the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said to him, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping and the people who had come with her weeping, he was intensely moved in spirit and greatly distressed. He asked, "Where have you laid him?" They replied, "Lord, come and see." Jesus wept. Thus the people who had come to mourn said, "Look how much he loved him." But some of them said, "This is the man who caused the blind man to see. Couldn't he have done something to keep Lazarus from dying?" Jesus, intensely moved again, came to the tomb. Now it was a cave, and a stone was placed across it. Jesus said, "Take away the stone." Martha, the sister of the deceased, replied, "Lord, by this time the body will have a bad smell, because he's been buried for 4 days." Jesus responded, "Didn't I tell you that if you believe, you would see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. Jesus looked upward and said, "Father, I thank you that you have listened to me. I knew that you always listen to me, but I said this for the sake of the crowd standing around here, that they may believe that you sent me." When he had said this, he shouted in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" The one who had died came out, his feet and his hands tied up with the strips of cloth, and a cloth wrapped around his face. Jesus said to them, "Unwrap him and let him go." A couple things that I want to draw out of this. First of all, you can see as he even shows up, as Jesus shows up on the scene after waiting, and then the things unfold, that there's a difference in the responses that people have when he arrives. On the one hand, there are people who are like, "Oh, it's so good that he's here. Look how much he loved Lazarus." But there's other people who aren't so charitable to Jesus. And they look at him and say, "This is the guy who healed all sorts of people, who made a blind man see. He should have been here. He loved Lazarus? Sure doesn't seem like it." There's different stories in different places that kind of indicate that Jesus often knows what's going on even when he's not in earshot. He can hear things that people are saying in the midst of crowds. We don't actually get a response from Jesus whether he knows that the people are saying this to or about him. But he's a smart guy, and he probably has an indication that there are two different responses to him being there. He doesn't correct the ones who are saying uncharitable things about him. And so it's almost as if he's giving them the space and the ability and the validity to say bad things about the bad things that are happening, as if responding in different ways to bad things are happening in a variety of ways are both welcome and valid. So that's the first thing that I wanted to point out. The second thing is I want to focus on the things that Jesus does when he does arrive. He shows up on the scene. He listens to Martha and Mary. He sees the intense emotions in the crowd. And it's said that he is intensely moved, and he is distressed by what's happening. Jesus wept. Shortest verse in the Bible. Jesus wept. 2 words. Even though he knows what's going to happen, even though he knows that he's eventually going to raise Lazarus from the dead, he is still moved by the emotion of the people around him and by the loss of his friend, that he has a visceral response to that as well. And then he makes the move. He goes towards the tomb. And he is about to open it up, and his sisters, Lazarus' sisters, who are saddened by the loss of their brother, are like, "This is going too far. Do not open that tomb, Jesus. Do not bring that dead man out, because that guy is dead. And he has been in there for 4 days, and that dude is going to stink." 4 days of decaying is not something that we want to bring out of there. Even Lazarus' sisters are like, that's going too far. However, Jesus insists that somehow, bringing that death and decay, that man out of that tomb after being in there for 4 days, somehow that is going to show them what the glory of God looks like. So he has the tomb opened, and out comes Lazarus. And Lazarus is like glowing in all of his beauty, right? This is a resurrected man. No. He comes out and he is stinking. He's continued to be wrapped up in all the cloths, and like his face is even covered. This is not someone that you want to have an interaction with, maybe even and especially if this is your brother. And then Jesus says, go and unwrap him. How many of you are signing up for that job? Anybody want to go and do that, even and especially if it's your brother? No. Who's taking that job? There are actually laws about this in the Jewish scriptures that you're not supposed to interact with a dead body. It makes you ceremonially unclean. But on top of that, who wants to deal with this dead for days look and smell of this guy? Nobody's going to sign up for that. And yet Jesus doesn't mind. Jesus invites it out. And he goes even one step further and reminds them once again what he said before he even went on the way. He says, didn't I tell you that if you believe, you would see the glory of God? Now, I could understand if Lazarus came out looking like Timothée Chalamet, in all his glory, and he's got it all put together, and he's looking the part, the glory of God before us. But Jesus insists that instead, this guy who's half decaying, is wrapped up and stinking, this decaying mess of a human somehow shows us what the glory and goodness of God looks like. This guy, Jesus just nods along. This guy. As you go through Bible school or theology school like I did, and even into seminary, you learn a few different things. They teach you different things about what resurrection bodies are like. And one of the things that they say is that the resurrection body of Lazarus is different from the resurrection body of Jesus. So in this story that we just read, Lazarus is basically like resuscitated. So he's brought back from the dead, but Lazarus eventually dies himself, right? This is clear that his body, even as it is brought back from the dead, it's not permanent. It comes out after 4 days of decaying. It's stinky. I don't know how long that stink lasts, but it's got to stay around for a while. And then he eventually dies. This is not like a permanent resurrection body. On the other hand, we're taught that Jesus, as he is resurrected on that first Easter, he has this different kind of more permanent resurrection body. He is glowing like Timothée Chalamet as he comes out. He has this new kind of body. There are some of his closest friends and followers who don't recognize him immediately. He is able to put himself in situations also amidst his friends where he changes his appearance so they can't recognize him. Strange. He's like able to appear and disappear in different settings. There's even like a story where he's walking through walls. Super strange stuff, but he has a different type of more permanent resurrection body. And we're told also that at the resurrection of the dead, at the end of time, these are the types of bodies that we are all going to be given. That Jesus' resurrection body is a first fruit of what is to come. Pretty cool, huh? That's great, and theologically I get it, and how they want to differentiate between Lazarus and Jesus. But I've got one problem with that. And it actually comes from another story about Jesus after his resurrection. And this happens only a few chapters after the story that we just read, also in the biography about the life of Jesus by John. This is from the end of John. After Jesus is resurrected, he's appearing to his closest followers, including one of them named Thomas, who is doubting that this thing has happened. He goes to Thomas. Then Jesus says to Thomas, "Put your finger here and examine my hands. Extend your hand and put it in my side. Do not continue in your unbelief, but believe." So Jesus, in this resurrection body, he shows up to Thomas. This is a very famous painting that is depicting the doubting Thomas. It's a little hard to see here, but it's actually showing him sticking his finger in his side. Super disgusting, but like Renaissance stuff, right? This is supposedly this eternal resurrection body. But this dude, he's not only holy, that dude still has holes in his hands, in his side. The signs of Jesus' torture and his execution are still present in his resurrection, eternal body. And it's those wounds and those imperfections that actually point to the glory of God. He does not even have it all put together. That holy dude is still full of holes. How many of you have heard of trypophobia? Do any of you have trypophobia? If you do, you would know. Okay, you can pull up the next picture, Jason. Trypophobia is the irrational fear of holes. Branda has trypophobia? Okay, she's out there, I think. If you have trypophobia, do not look at the screen. If you need to walk out, if you need to close your eyes, please do so. Trypophobia is the irrational fear of holes. Not like big holes that you can fall into, but like clusters of holes often, like this. What's that? No, we need to stay on this side. Just close your eyes if you have trypophobia. I think that we collectively often have our own version of trypophobia, where we're scared of the perceived holes that we have in ourselves, holes in our abilities, holes in our bodies, holes in our personalities, these imperfections. If we're going to mix metaphors a little bit, we are hyper aware of our own grave stink. And yet, it is very clear to us from this story and from so many others that Jesus calls out and says, come on out, holes and stink and all. It is not only welcome, but is a sign of the glory of God at work in and through you. And you are the people, holes and stink and all, who are going to be my witnesses. You are the ones who I'm going to build everything around. This is not only present in Jesus' story and his teachings, but it is present in his earliest followers as well. This is present in the rest of the Christian scriptures, even in the people who are like the staunchest, most like trying to follow by the book, all of the rules. One of the people who was not the most chill was a guy named the Apostle Paul, and he was all about rule following. But here is what he had to say in his second letter to the Corinthians. But we have this treasure in clay jars, so that the extraordinary power belongs to God and does not come from us. We are experiencing trouble on every side, but are not crushed. We are perplexed, but not driven to despair. We are persecuted, but not abandoned. We are knocked down, but not destroyed, always carrying around in our body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be made visible in our body. For we who are alive are constantly being handed over to death for Jesus' sake, so that the life of Jesus may also be made visible in our mortal body. As a result, death is at work in us, but life is at work in you. But since we have the same spirit of faith as that shown in what has been written, I believe, therefore I spoke. We also believe, therefore we also speak. We do so because we know that the one who raised up Jesus will also raise us up with Jesus and will bring us with you into his presence. For these things are for your sake, so that the grace that is including more and more people may cause thanksgiving to increase to the glory of God. Therefore, we do not despair, but even if our physical body is wearing away, our inner person is being renewed day by day. For our momentary light suffering is producing for us an eternal weight of glory far beyond all comparison, because we are not looking at what can be seen, but at what cannot be seen. For what can be seen is temporary, but what cannot be seen is eternal. Starting next week, we're going to be beginning a new sermon series all about relationships called Ship Talk. One of the things we're going to be talking about during that series is the importance of both vulnerability and boundaries within relationships. That is a thin line to manage, how to have both vulnerability and boundaries within relationships. And so one of the things we're going to talk about is when and how and to whom and in what way you reveal your full self whether it's appropriate in certain circumstances to reveal all of your holes and reveal all of your stink. Those are things that we are going to talk about in the upcoming series. And if nothing else, I hope that one of the things that you hear today is that your holes, whatever they might be, your stink, your grave stink, whatever it might be, does not prevent you from experiencing the grace of God. In fact, they are actually the means by which you might experience the grace of God and even show the grace of God to other people. The extraordinary power of God and the life of Jesus and the grace that is including more and more people all are visible not only to you, but in you. And yes, that treasure is in like a fragile jar of clay that is our bodies, but it is a treasure nonetheless, and you are a treasure nonetheless. So may you know that, may you believe that, and may you extend that to others as well. May that be so.
Would you stand? Blessed are the ones who do not bury all the broken pieces of their art. Blessed are the tears of all the weary, pouring like a sky of fallen stars. Blessed are the wounded ones in mourning, brave enough to show the Lord their scars. Blessed are the hurts that are not hidden, open to the healing touch of God. The kingdom is yours. The kingdom is yours. Hold on a little more. This is not the end. Hope is in the Lord. Keep your eyes on Him. Blessed are the ones who walk in kindness, even in the face of great abuse. Blessed are the deeds that go unnoticed, serving with ungrateful gratitude. Blessed are the ones who fight for justice, longing for the coming day of peace. Blessed is the soul that thirsts for righteousness, welcoming the last, the lost, the least. The kingdom is yours. The kingdom is yours. Hold on a little more. This is not the end. Hope is in the Lord. Keep your eyes on Him. Hold on a little more. This is not the end. Hope is in the Lord. Keep your eyes on Him. Oh, oh, blessed are the ones who suffer violence and still have strength to love their enemies. Blessed is the faith of those who persevere, Though they fall, they fear and feel defeat. The kingdom is yours. The kingdom is yours. Hold on a little more. This is not the end. Hope is in the Lord. Keep your eyes on Him. Hold on a little more. This is not the end. Hope is in the Lord. Keep your eyes on Him. Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty. Early in the morning, our song shall rise to thee. Holy, 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 merciful and mighty, God in three persons, blessed Trinity. We sing that again. Holy, holy. Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty. Early in the morning, our song shall rise to thee. Holy, 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 merciful and mighty, God in three persons, blessed Trinity. Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty. All thy works shall praise thy name in earth and sky and sea. Holy, 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 merciful and mighty, God in three persons, blessed Trinity. And God in three persons, blessed Trinity.
You can actually take a seat. We got a couple additional announcements to tag on to the end here. I'm going to make one, and then I'll invite Rachel Henson up in just a moment to make another one on behalf of the Grove Church as a whole. The first announcement, though, is for Cottage Grove specifically. I have the pleasure of announcing this morning that Andrea Juvie, who's over here behind the piano here, is going to be serving as our interim worship director. So she has been leading for us since the beginning of December, doing an absolutely incredible job. We want her to continue. She wants to continue through at least Easter while we figure out the future of that position. So in the meantime, we get to be in incredible hands of Andrea and the team that she leads. A couple practical things. She's very piano-centric. Rachel, look, has been playing more piano as well over the last month. We're going to be moving the piano up on stage so that they don't have to just be crammed in that corner. Super thankful for Andrea. So let's give her another hand.
Thank you.
So that's the Cottage Grove specific announcement. We have another announcement, though, that is the Grove Church in general, specific. And for that, I'm going to hand it over to Rachel. Let's welcome Rachel.
Excellent. Good morning. So, as some of you know, we are part of a bigger church community than just Cottage Grove here in this building. So we are the Grove Church. We have a location here in Cottage Grove, and we also have a location up in Woodbury. Between those two locations, we have 3 pastors. We have Dan Wetterstrom as our lead pastor. We have Kelly Lehman, who you should have seen last week. She was preaching here. She's our executive pastor. And then we have Jeremy. I think you guys all know Jeremy. Also, between the 2 locations, we have a group that's called the Core Team. And the Core Team is the group that takes on the day-to-day administration of just running a church. And I'm the Cottage Grove representative on that team, so that's why I'm standing up here talking to you guys today. So a little while ago, Dan Wetterstrom came to the Core Team and let us know he's planning to retire at the end of June. We are grateful for Dan's leadership over the last 17 years at the Grove. He has done wonderful things for us. We're also really excited for him to take that next step in his life. So the Core Team spent a whole lot of time talking and praying and being in discussion with the United Methodist Conference just to figure out what our next steps are going to be. And the result of all of that is we have asked, and she has accepted, but Kelly Lehman, starting in July, is going to be appointed our lead pastor. Jeremy is going to continue being our pastor down here, and then we're going to work with the United Methodist Conference on filling that 3rd pastor vacancy that we have. So, what does that mean for Cottage Grove, right? Admittedly, not a whole lot is going to change down here. Jeremy is going to continue being our pastor. I'm going to steal one of Jeremy's lines, but he has always said that Dan has been a wonderful support as a lead pastor for the ministry down here. We don't anticipate that to change at all with Kelly stepping into that position. If you have any questions about this transition, I'm going to be here today and certainly into the future. I'm always happy to answer any questions that I can. But overall, we just want to let you know that our goal is to continue to grow goodness in the world. And we're just going to have a slightly different pastor team leading us in that work. So, thank you, everybody.
If you are on our stewardship list, so if you're a part of that and you've received stuff about stewardship in the past, you're going to receive this big old thing in your mail this week with lots of papers. One letter from the Core Team, one from Dan, one from me. If you have historic Woodbury roots, you're also going to get one from Kelly. It's a lot of reading. Here's what it comes down to, including what Rachel said. Dan Wetterstrom has been an incredible support for us as a church, as a congregation here in Cottage Grove, as he's served as lead pastor. And as Kelly moves into lead pastor, she's going to continue to be an incredible support for this church and this congregation down here in Cottage Grove. There you go. Again, if you have any questions about what that means in practice, you can talk to Rachel or myself. It was so good to be with you this morning. I am now going to have you stand and extend your hands to receive this blessing. This one's going to be a little bit longer and a little bit more deep, I guess. This last week, I was read this poem, and I thought, you know what, given what we're talking about today, it's just a perfect way for us to end this service and for us to go out into the world today. This is from Anne Braithwaite Len. The poem is When I Need God to Redeem This Painful, Hard Thing. So again, this is a little bit longer. If you need to close your eyes or something to get yourself into the mood, feel free to do so. Wonderful worker, when I peered up from the hole and saw no way out, when what was taken away gave no warning, when I didn't think I had the courage or even the energy to live into a life looking nothing like it did before, something was happening. The thing I thought would break me, that did break me, is now making me. Great is the mystery of faith. The pieces of life's puzzle come together here and there, or shockingly in a big patch at once, and I see you, active and good in all things. Your power to redeem to take the most painful deaths and birth from them living, breathing gifts, taking my own breath away in awe. You do not create pain for me to grow or cause the heartache of my soul, but are the expert shaper of life's ashes. Somehow this terrible thing, when given in earnest to you today and many tomorrows from now, becomes an open channel where something amazing will flow. A passage echoing with a tender voice, you can trust me with all the things, in all the things. You will lift me from this hole. You will wail and wonder with gratitude. I will begin in a new kind of dance, letting my limp remind my soul and world how broken bodies learn exquisite new rhythms. With you, pain finds a home in something larger than itself, and sacred scars hold haven over wounds which will someday bless. Amen. May that be so.